What's going on? What's going on, y'all? It's Jordan the Maestro back in the building, and let's talk about our outlook coming into next week. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about the wonderful week it was and how many opportunities there were in the market last week. Plenty of opportunities. I went over just about most of them in our midweek recap, and we ended off the week pretty strong. If you watched the midweek recap, then you definitely would have capitalized on some moves that we ended the week with. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, started the week off pretty well with a couple of break and retest, supply and demand type trades. Nothing too different from what you guys are used to. Now, going to focus on this particular trade over here. This particular trade happened during the night. I was about to go to sleep, and I wanted to set a sell stop because I did have a good hunch that gold would break this area of support to an area where I would be comfortable taking the sell. All right. The unfortunate part about this trade is that although it definitely went the direction I expected it to go, I accidentally put my stop loss wrong. Usually put my stop loss anywhere from around 40 to 50 pips. Put it by 20 pips by accident. The trade wicked me out at like 25 pips, you could say. So, you know, it is what it is. These things happen sometimes. You just got to make sure it doesn't happen again. But ultimately, it was still definitely a trade that I would have caught if not for that slight error. But either way, it was still a valid setup. And we had another setup. And that's the thing with the markets and your mindset. After taking a loss, your mindset, how you react to that loss and the steps that you take after that loss are going to be what really separates you from most traders. Okay. You don't want to get so caught up in your feelings. Yes, you took a loss, but it's not a reason for the next trade to be a trade that you over leverage on. It's not a reason for the next trade to be a trade where you second guess either. If your parameters are there, your trading rules are being followed, everything that serves as a confluence for you are good, then you should be entering that trade. As if nothing happened before, you should be entering that trade. And let me tell you, it's so much easier to do that if you are risking the proper amount each time. Okay. Now, we know what proper risk is in terms of you don't want to risk more than 2 to 3%. More skilled traders can risk a bit more. Okay. Well, that comes with having more money to risk anyway. All right. But the point is, the safest way to go about just winning in the market and really like limiting your emotions in the market is really following a healthy risk plan. Okay. So whether that's 2 to 3% for you or 4 to 5% for you, either way, you want to make sure that when you do lose, it's not something that is going to completely deter you so much. Okay. So now, coming from this loss, I knew the market was going to give me another opportunity. I'm not going to rush into the market to just quickly find another move and just put myself in a situation where I shouldn't be in. But let the market develop, let it come to you, and eventually it's going to give you that move. So we got to this zone right over here, and I love the fact that we got to this zone because the minute we got to this zone over here, and we're going to go out a little bit to see things from a higher time frame perspective. Once we got to this zone over here, I was like, okay, this zone might just be money over here, because if you're looking at this particular support, look how many times price has came in to respect this support. Yes, it definitely did break here, but there was still respect again to this support area so many times. So a very important area for price. Definitely a big and important area for price. Okay. So like we said before, although this support was broken at one point, still consider it as an area of interest. Why? Because price will come to show it a level of respect in the future. And that's what we did. Okay. We didn't just stop it right here because it broke support. We extended that across because we knew it would come in handy in the future, and that it very well did. So once price came in here, showed tremendous respect to the support, showing wicks here, a lot of bottom wicks here, showing that it's not able to break this level of support. Definitely saw it as my opportunity to take this buy. So I definitely got in, took my buy, took my profits, and it was a wonderful trade. Wonderful trade. Got about 50 pips from it. So could not complain at all. And as a matter of fact, I also, although the setup is not here, I also took a final trade today, which is Friday. I also took a final trade, and give me 1 second to just show you guys. I took a final trade from once it broke through this zone over here. So it broke through this zone, it closed above the zone. So I took the trade starting from this blue candle over here, and I went for about 20 to 30 pips. If I'm not mistaken, I think might have been 30 pips. But from that candle over here, okay, from this candle all the way up, rode it all the way up for a quick 30 pips. It went up 40 pips really. And honestly, it's just zone to zone. This is what I say, and I said it right before it happened in my Instagram story, that this is more than likely to get to the top of this zone. Why? Because we have a range over here. We have a clean range over here, right? So we have some areas for price to fill in. And on top of that, we have closed above that zone. Okay, so it is, for a trending market that's trending upwards at the moment, it is a decent trade to take a buy at that moment. And we capitalized and we closed the week off very solidly, very well. And now let's look forward to next week and what opportunities we have coming up. So now next week, again, we like to look at things from a higher time frame perspective. If we recall, let me remove these alerts real quick, y'all. I'll remove all of these alerts. Yes, we want to remove them all. Okay, if we recall from last week, I had mentioned how this is where we are. We're at an impulse, right? We were following the trend. We saw impulsive moves, then corrections, impulsive moves, corrections. Now, this was an impulsive move that we went through last week, right? And I said, what should be coming up? A correction should be coming up, right? So notice how the market has started to correct already. Okay, the market has already started to correct itself, give ourselves a correction. And so long as, and this is from a daily perspective, so long as we're not surpassing this point over here, we are still in a solid uptrend in terms of a higher time frame perspective. Okay, so we are at tremendous support at the same time. So it's very plausible that this area continues to hold and price will bounce off this area and give us a continuation up for the buy. Very plausible that happens, very strong support. But don't be surprised if this support does break, because ultimately what we are looking to invalidate a buy is not necessarily for this support to no longer hold, but it's more so this support, because this was technically the previous low over here. Okay, this over here was the previous low on a higher time frame perspective. Okay, so we're gonna watch and see what the market gives us. But ultimately, we are still in an overall uptrend, and we are still going to watch out to see how the market behaves, especially around this area. Okay, so if the market comes back down into this area, okay, the market comes back down into this area, we're going to watch how it behaves. Okay, definitely more so a biasy to the buy side because of such a strong support, but don't be surprised that it can break down and then give you a sell side pressure and give you more downward movement. Don't be surprised that that happens. Okay, if that happens, same as always, we're going to wait for that retest. Okay, wait for that little candlestick retest or a few candles retest, and then we're going to ride that down to the bottom of the zone and then take that from zone to zone depending on how it's reacting. If it takes our buy, all right, if it starts to buy off, You can definitely take this, same thing. You can definitely take this from zone to zone. But what you can also do, this could easily be an opportunity, especially if it breaks through this zone over here. If we get past this zone, which we see a heavy level of resistance all throughout this zone. If we can get past the zone, I think this could be a solid opportunity to hold this trade for the long run. Okay, at least up to the previous high. Okay, at least up to that high, that most recent high that it made, and that will definitely do wonders for your account. If you catch this move from here and you're holding it all the way up here, you're talking about a little over 180 pips. Could even go beyond. Okay, could even go beyond, and if it does go beyond, that is going to be a solid move. Okay, so for those swing traders, those traders that are more so swing traders, not really scalpers, definitely an opportunity I see on the buy side if price starts to behave that way. Okay, so that's what we want to look out for next week when it comes to gold. Okay, now let's go to US 30 real quick. Let's look at, all right, so now with US 30, okay, let's take a look here. US 30, we had an area of resistance, a strong area of resistance. So let me just remove that. We had a strong area of resistance over here. All right. And it finally broke through that area of resistance. So once it broke through that area, then if you are looking to trade that for the buy, all you're looking for is that little retest. And honestly, you had to be patient. You had to be patient, but all of this is just a retest back to the zone, right? We had an impulsive move that came and broke the zone. All of this was a retest back to the zone. If you were patient enough to stay in this trade and you were able to ride this up, then you would have definitely made profits. From the initial ride, you would have made profits, right? So from the initial ride up, you would have made over 100 pips in this move. And then it came back down. But take a look at this. When it came back down, it did not break the zone, though. It did not break the zone. This zone was still valid. Okay. So once you saw that zone valid, okay, couldn't break the zone in one candle. Second candle, we have a bullish candle, and we see we're right over here and it closes above the zone. You can definitely enter on your next candle and ride this up for a couple of pips, scalp it, swing it, whatever, 180 pips. It's best of both worlds. You could get whatever you like in that trade. Okay, so definitely solid opportunity here on US 30. Very, very solid opportunity that it gave us. Let's look at where US 30 is going right now. And we still have this strong area of resistance right across here. Okay, very strong area of resistance right across here. Okay, so I'm going to extend this area because it looks like price is starting to approach this area. Okay, and now let's go down to lower time frames to see where we're at. Okay, so this was also a small area of resistance. Okay, let me swing that across. Okay, I'm going to swing these zones across a little more. Okay, and this is where we're at right now. So if we can get a close above in this area, if we could get a close above in this area, let's go to the lower time frame. If we could get a close in this area when the market opens up, then we can definitely look for an opportunity to get in for a buy from this zone. From this zone, all right, we get a close in this area, look for opportunity for a buy from this zone to the next zone for sure. We have definitely a good opportunity for that buy. Okay, if we're getting that sell, okay, this zone may be a little small for some. You may want to wait for price to break through, maybe get to this area over here, and then you can take your sell from one zone to another. Okay, so if it does break through for the sell, look for the same thing. Okay, don't be surprised it does something like this, retest this zone, and then gives you an opportunity for the sell. This could easily be TP1 because we saw that this area over here had some support, and I'll show you that right now. This area over here shows to have some levels of support over here. So that'll be a TP1, potential TP1. And then the next zone could be your TP2. Okay. But that's what it is for US 30 right now. Okay. Once we get to this area, be very, very careful how you're trading, because again, this is our very, very strong area of resistance. So we want to be careful. Sells could definitely happen in this area because it has struggled in this area a lot. But if we break through this area, then we definitely have a lot of room to go up. Okay. If we break through this area over here, we have a lot of room to go up before we see some strong levels of resistance again. Okay. So again, just want to watch the market, see what it gives us, see how it's behaving between zones, from one zone to another, see what patterns it forms, right? Like this pattern, anyone who's a pattern driven trader could have easily caught this. You have your impulsive move, your retest, and then you have a continuation upwards. Multiple ways to take advantage of these opportunities in the market, multiple ways to satisfy different types of traders, depending on what your strategy is. But there's definitely opportunities in these markets. Market's been trending very, very nicely as of recent. All right, all of January 2023 is off to a great start. So capitalize on that. Follow your rules, right? And don't overtrade. Don't succumb to FOMO. Okay, just really dig in, follow those rules, and continue to get better each and every week, y'all. Right? So that is the outlook for next week. Let's get prepared. Let's continue to make more money, y'all. Let's continue to watch these charts and really make sure that we are following our rules and we are capitalizing on every move possible. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back again next week for some more. All right, y'all. Take care. Jordan the Maestro. I'll see y'all.